Hi class, I just wanted to quickly go over what's expected for Module 7. So hopefully by now you got a good understanding of classes and an in-depth review over various concepts pertaining to classes. So at this point, we'll be using these concepts as we go throughout the remainder of the course. So going into week 7, you're going to be learning about operator overloading, specifically focused on using the class string as an example. So you'll be reading chapter 10 of the book, and you'll be reading about operating overloading. So this is something you've been using and maybe did not even realize, but when you use cout and cin to output strings, integers, doubles, or any type, you're using operator overloading. You're using the same operator to display different types, right? So this is the idea of operator overloading. So you'll go through some examples in this chapter. I highly recommend that you, as you read chapter 10, that you go through those examples and actually write the code yourself and follow along in the book. And so for this module, you'll be working on quiz number 7, which will be due in 1 week. It'll be due next Sunday. It'll be 30 questions, multiple choice, and you'll have 3 hours to complete. And then you'll also be assigned lab number 5. So lab number 5, you'll have 1 week to complete opposed to 2 weeks. This is because the midterm will be next week. So it's a shorter lab. You have 1 week to complete it. And you will be allowed to submit it late with a 10% late penalty. You'll be able to submit it late after 2 weeks, so that until the end of spring break on April 14th. But again, if you do submit it after the 1 week, after March 31st, when it is due, you will receive a 10% late penalty. Okay, so lab will go over mostly operator overloading. Okay, and then there's this midterm exam preparation. So this is going to explain that there are going to be 50 questions on the midterm, multiple choice, as well as a written programming exercise that you'll have to complete throughout the week. Okay, so you'll have 3 hours to complete the 3.5 hours to complete the multiple choice questions. That's going to be 50 questions. So you have 3.5 hours to complete that, and then you'll have your written programming portion, which you have the whole week to complete. Okay, so this is everything for week 7. So this will be the last concept we'll be covering. That will be on the midterm. The midterm again will be next week. So it'll be assigned Sunday, the 31st at midnight, and you'll have all week to complete it. So real quickly, I just want to go over lab 5. For lab 5, we'll be creating a matrix class. So this matrix class will hold a 4x4 two-dimensional array using the built-in array for C++. And you're going to just demonstrate various operator overloading tasks. So notice it is a 4x4 array. And also you'll be creating constructor and a separate member function called init, which the constructor should call, and this should initialize all the values of the two-dimensional 4x4 array to 0, all the elements to 0. Okay, so you want to complete all this. Notice for the multiplication operator, you're doing element-wise multiplication. Okay, so location 1, 1 of the array should be multiplied to the location 1, 1 of the second array. Location 2, 2 should be multiplied with the number at location 2, 2 of the second array, etc. Alright, and so if you actually scroll down to the bottom, you'll notice that there's some example output. So you'll notice this is for a 3x3 matrix. So this is not exactly what yours should look like because you're doing a 4x4 matrix, but this is the idea. So your output to test all of the different overloaded operators, you should use this idea. Okay, so use this kind of format for demonstrating that your matrix class and the operator overloading works for all of the different tasks. Okay, so you'll see that they're entering in 2 different matrices. You're displaying to make sure they work, and you're using the overloaded stream insertion and stream extraction to actually demonstrate that you are using the operator overloading correctly. And then you want to use the same operator overloading for the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the increment as well as decrement. So this is not showing all of the different outputs, but you should include all of them. This is just, again, sample just to demonstrate the idea of what you should have for your main class. Okay, and then notice that you should separate your class interface from the class implementation. Okay, so this is something we've talked about before. Remember, you want to just include the prototype of your functions in the matrix.h, right? Because this is going to be your interface. Then you actually define and implement these functions in the class itself, in the constructor, etc., within the matrix.cbp file. Okay, so you want to separate the interface from this implementation. Okay, so this is everything for Lab 5. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out and post on the discussion board or reach out to me directly. Okay, and just remember all these different things. Make sure you include your documentation, your comment your code. Make sure you include the header at the top of each file, etc. Okay, make sure you have good readability, and you name your variables appropriately as well. Okay, so I hope that all makes sense. Make sure you just read through this lab many times, make sure it makes complete sense, and again, reach out if you have any questions. Okay, thanks.